Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do the mid-year book freakout tag. I've done this 2 years, and this is my 3rd year. So I will have my old ones listed below in case you want to watch them. I also have the creators tags as well, Chammy and Ellie. And then, I don't know if they're around anymore, but I got those stuff down below. So I'm going to jump into this because I don't have a whole lot of time this morning. Anyway, so we're going to go through the questions and they'll also be listed below. So question number 1 is best book you've read so far this year. I would probably claim a series as my best books of the year, but Written and Read, which is the first book in the Others series by Anne Bishop, is definitely by far the best book I read this year. It is a great find that I've had on my shelf for a couple of years and just never read it, and I'm so glad I did. And I loved this urban fantasy alternate history story and the series. And again, I read this whole series in the first 5 months of the year, so, and I'm already rereading them, so yeah, top books of the year. I have some other great 5-star reads, but beyond a doubt, if I'm already rereading the series, technically those are my favorite books of the year so far. So the best sequel, oh, I didn't get my little tablet out here, sorry. There goes my trying to be fast. There we go. Was Wolf Rain by Nalini Singh. This is book 18 in the full Side Changeling series, or the 3rd in the Side Trinity, Trinity series. So this is a paranormal romance, but with excellent world building and a huge overarching political thing with humans, shifters, and psychics, and it's again one of my favorite series and favorite writers of all time. And as I said, loved that. That's my favorite sequel so far. And again, it was a really close call of one I'll mention a little later, but this was, I read it right away as soon as it got here on my Kindle. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to. Hurts me that I went into a reading slump just as I got this, but Empire Grass by Tad Williams is the 2nd book in the Last King of Ostenard series. I want to read this so bad, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to reread The Witchwood Crown, which is just as huge. So these are epic fantasy. This is the 2nd set of trilogy after the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, written in the late 80s, early 80s, 90s, early 90s. One of my favorite epic fantasy writers of all time. I need to get to this book because it's book 2. I do still have a couple of years before I get the 3rd book, but I want to get to that. Number 4, most anticipated release for the 2nd half of the year. I don't think that's going to be any any doubt. Let's see if I can get this to blow up. That it's going to be Nalini Singh's oh, come on. Archangel's War. I don't know how to make these. I don't know how to make the little bottom thing not show when I do the Pinterest thing. I'm going to have to figure that out. Anyway. So, anyway, that's the one. Anyway, it comes out in October, and I'm dying for it because of the way the last book ended last year. I only get them once a year. So anyway, that's definitely for sure. I have other books that I want, but that is the one. Biggest disappointment. Now, I've had a couple of books that I've DNF'd. Many books. I've DNF'd a lot. I didn't count my number. When I do my mid-year stats, I'll let you know about that. This was my biggest disappointment, was Disillusion by C.J. Sansom. I expected to love this. I had heard so many good things about it. I still hear really good things about it. So I think it is just a me problem. But I was so disappointed that I could not handle reading this book anymore. I got so mad at the main character for the things he said and did. I wanted him, I wanted him differently. And it wasn't, I liked all the other characters. I loved the world building, or the scenery was so good. The mystery, didn't find out what happened with that because I DNF'd this 90 pages from the end. So I'm still mad about that one. But again, I think it's just me, clearly. I think I'm like the only one who didn't like it. But I was so disappointed because I expected to dive into that series and there's like 6 books out, or 6 or 7 books. And I was all ready to take on this big historical fiction about Tudor England and the Reformation, and it just didn't work out. Was not happy. Anyway, so that was the worst. Biggest surprise was Milkman by Anna Burns. I did not expect to like this. I got it from my library and didn't expect to even get through the first chapter, or, you know, like a couple of pages in. I figured I was going to be one of the ones who didn't want to read it. But I fell into it, and even though this is not a highly starred book for me, like I would say it's definitely like a 3.5, I enjoyed it enough that I'm glad I read it, even with a couple of the flaws that I had at one point in the story. It was a really good book, and I see why it won awards. It really is doing a lot of things in here that are really well done. And I did not have any trouble with the writing. I know some people do text and audio combo. I personally just thought I just had to turn off distractions and then I was fine. Like, it was a book you had to sit and read a little bit more quietly than maybe some of the other ones where you could have other things going on. But I still, I was really surprised that I enjoyed most of that book, like, a lot. And then number 7 is favorite new author, debut, or new to you. I have not read a lot of debuts this first 6 months of the year. I just have not read a lot. But my new favorite is Anne Bishop. So I've read the other series, the first 5 books. Now I have a couple of her other series first books, and I'm going to try those here hopefully this summer or into the fall. I do have the next book in the World of the Others. I think this is the next series. I have the first book of that too. So I do have more to read from her. I'm excited. I'm excited to try out her more fantasy, her epic fantasy stuff. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of excited. Newest fictional crush. Now, I've had back and forth on this over the years. I don't get crushes on characters, but I would say my favorite couple of this year, like as in from the romance stuff that I've been reading, comes back to Nalini Singh's Wolf Rain and Alexis and Memory. They were wonderful together. I want my crushes them together. Did that work? I don't know. That's how it. Anyway. Newest favorite character. Again, certain books over and over, but Meg and Simon, both in Written and Read and the other series, their interaction, but also their growth through the series was just phenomenal. I loved them all. I mean, I love these series because there's so many characters, but the 2 main characters, Simon and Meg, are my favorite characters. They are just, I just love them to death. So, yeah. Oh well. Book that made you cry. So, there's been a few books that I've teared up at. I can't recall a lot of them, like, they're, you know, some of them have been nonfiction, and I just, you know, there's, you know, when I think it was one of the Chernobyl books I read this year, Chernobyl, I think. But the one that has made me cry the most is The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal. I actually had to stop listening to the audiobook in my car because I kept crying every time I would listen to this. So this is so powerful. I want to finish this book. It's actually the only one on here that, you know, maybe I shouldn't count it, but I've cried more in this book in the 200 pages I've read, 220 pages, than in anything else. So I'm going to give it this one. Anyway, so I need to finish that book. It's on the list. It's just, I think I need to read it physically now because it was just hitting me too hard. The audiobook is just fantastic. Anyway, and then number 12, number 12, 11, sorry, what book made you happy? I have 2 books for this. I finally read the second book in the D'Artagnan romances, or the Three Musketeers series, 20 Years After, by Alexandre Dumas. I've had this on my shelf for 20 years. It's translated by David Coward. Fantastic. It was just getting back into that world. It was just so much fun, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm so excited to read more of it. But I did actually continue the series, which was one of the things I wanted to do, and that just made me happy to be back with them, because it was completely different and yet the same, if that makes sense, because they were all older but they were still, it was still fun to see them all together and all the things going on. And then another one that makes me happy is the Bill Kreider's Sheriff Dan Rhodes Mysteries. This is number 24. Yeah, number 24. So I only have one more left of his series, and then I'll have completed this full mystery series in Texas, like a county sheriff and his people and the people in those little, in the area. It's just, I love this very quiet mystery series, and it just makes me happy when I get to read one. And I'm really sad because I'm happy, sad because I only have one more book. Let's see here. Number 13. Oh no, we're at number 12. Favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year. I have not watched any movies at all. I haven't even really watched many TV shows. I'm really kind of behind. Like the whole media is I've kind of not done a whole lot of that. On my horizon, I really want to. I have to get a code from my brother, but I want to watch Good Omens. The Terry Pratchett, Neil Gaiman. The miniseries that they just did on, I think, on Amazon. So I really want to watch that. I read that book several times and I love that book. So I want to see that adaptation. I just haven't watched it yet. So it's on my horizon to do it hopefully in the next couple weeks, but I haven't seen it yet. So I haven't seen anything for that. And then number 13 is for your favorite review that you've written, or if you're a booktuber that if you filmed. I can't think of any. I mean, I think I've had a couple of rants about some books like Disillusion and stuff, but I don't think I've had. I think mostly I had a couple of videos mostly about my library use or my buying too many books. And I think those are, for me, they were like ones I wanted to get stuff out. So maybe that's maybe the best. I don't know. I don't know. Number 14, the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. Without a doubt. Look at that. It is so beautiful. Oh, you can see, just gorgeous. I think it's Michael Wayland. Yeah, Wayland. And he's done all the covers for The Last King of Oxnard and the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And they were always my favorite. They're always my favorite, all these covers. They're just gorgeous. I need to read this. Anyway. Which gets us to number 15 is what books do you have to read by the end of the year? So, let's see here. I'm trying to think if there was, well, other than this, like this, well, I have to. This is still a have to. I think the rest of these are all I would like to. They're just like part of my things that I'm kind of, continuing, I can't reach, continuing, goals that I have of certain books I want to read. So I want to continue the Three Musketeers series. So this is book number 3. I expect to hopefully pick this up either late summer, early fall. That's my hope. I'm hoping to get at least 2 of these done a year. I was kind of hoping to do more, but it's not working. Anyway, we'll at least do that. In August, I'm going to reread Helter Skelter, about the Manson murders. I read this back when I was 18, and I think I read it one other time. So this will be my 3rd reread of this, or 2nd reread. But I want to reread it on the 50th anniversary time frame. I started Bleak House last year. So but I put it down. I was not very good at doing the sections. Katie at Books and Things is doing it serially. I just can't do it. But I think this is the book I'm going to pick up for Victober and then just actually read the whole thing. I might have to reread what I read already because I don't really remember. It's been many months since I picked this up. But I really want to finish that this year. So Charles Dickens. And then I also would like to read John Adams by David McCullough. This one again, I'm continuing my president's list. So that's the next one. John Adams was number 2. So that is it. I'm not going to tag anybody because I think almost everybody's done this. If you have not done it, I think you should do it. These are fun. As I said, this is my 3rd year doing it. I love taking a look at what I've read so far this year, and I have had kind of a weird reading year, so it wasn't quite as cut and dry on some things. And there's a lot of stuff I read that I don't I don't know. It just kind of fell through the cracks. But I think I read a lot of good stuff. So anyway, I will see you guys later. Bye.